Hello and welcome. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's start with a check of the top headlines this hour. British police arrest former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor on suspicion of misconduct in public office linked to allegations over his past ties with Jeffrey Epstein. UK King Charles says the law must take its course on former police Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest and that the British police have his full and wholehearted support. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils India's Manav Vision, standing for moral, ethical and human-centric AI at the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi, promoting inclusive and responsible global artificial intelligence. French President Emmanuel Macron praises India's digital public infrastructure as a global benchmark and hailed its pioneering role in combining technology with humanity at the ongoing AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. US military forces are prepared to launch strikes on Iran as early as this weekend, according to multiple reports, as President Trump weighs possible action amid stalled nuclear talks. Former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol sentenced to life imprisonment after a court found him guilty of leading an insurrection through his brief 2024 martial law declaration. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates pulled out of his keynote address at the India's AI Impact Summit just hours before it was due, as his foundation cited the need to keep focus on the event's priorities amid fresh Epstein scrutiny. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has testified in a landmark US social media addiction trial, facing questions over whether Instagram was deliberately designed to be addictive and harmful to children. And the viewers want to know our top focus in a significant development. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy has commented on the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest, saying, as Justice Secretary and as the Prime Minister has said, nobody in this country is above the law. Lammy emphasized that this remains a police investigation and must proceed in the usual way. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, King Charles's younger brother, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The allegations involving sending confidential government documents to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In a related move, Norway's royal palace confirmed that Andrew has returned the Order of St. Olav, the country's highest peacetime award, which he had received in 1988. The palace did not provide a specific reason, citing confidentiality in such matters, but Andrew's decision follows ongoing controversies surrounding his links to Epstein. King Charles had previously stripped Andrew of his royal title and removed him from his Windsor residence in response to the scandal. The Order of St. Olav, which is awarded for distinguished service, has now been relinquished, marking another chapter in Andrew's troubled public life. Adit Kothari, foreign affairs expert from London, joins me in this discussion. Adit, thanks very much for joining us. Firstly, it's really a historic arrest in UK's monarchy. But how do you view the statement that has come in from the King? Do you think it's a balanced, weighed-in, thought-after statement? What kind of strategy has gone behind making that statement on the day of the King's younger brother's arrest on his birthday?
So, Kriti, I think there's two ways to look at it. So one where the public are coming out and saying, okay, whatever has happened is wrong, but yet the government of the day and the monarchy of the day are not shying away from going after one of their own. And the other aspect is the establishment actually knew about this for very long, protected one of their own for years, and the only reason why the royal family and the Thames Valley Police are now finally acting on information which they've had privy to for decades is because there must be more volatile information from where this has come out. So there's two aspects. I mean, the fact that Prince Andrew was, he was absolutely brazenly disregarded for any scrutiny, for any accountability, because despite Giselle Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein being incriminated in 2008, they maintained their friendship all throughout. In fact, so much so
Yes.
he visited New York in 2010 when Jeffrey Epstein had invited him to come and stay in his New York mansion. And he's been a frequent, he's frequently traveled across the Atlantic to visit the pedophile island as well. So, having said that, I think this is more of a damage control operation rather than a sort of a damaging consequence for the royal family.
Adit, also walk us through what specific details of sharing confidential files and data has landed the police into action from just assessing the case to making an arrest today.
So the formal charges have focused clearly on the misuse of his public office role rather than direct sexual offences, which we all know there are
But have the
incriminating
charges been
evidences.
placed on him yet? Because from
Not
what
yet.
exactly, so what was it that finally led to action?
So the fact that confidential files pertaining to U.S. trade agreements and trade secrets were sort of leaked as a consequence of him being in public office, holding the post of the representative of the International Trade and Investment from 2001 to 2011. And during that tenure, he was associated with both Giselle Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And as a consequence of which he ended up providing trade secrets and government secrets to both of them. And those are the suspicion charges which have been brought forward. Now, the next steps are predominantly going to be around questioning and then charges being framed, and then formally he will be charged. So at this point, he's only been arrested on suspicion. And as a consequence, there will be the next set of events which will involve him being formally charged, which I imagine will happen in the next couple of days.
Yeah. Meanwhile, his Sandringham residence is being searched. Another one of his residences is being searched. What hurdles is the Crown Prosecution Service really going to face in framing these charges?
Sorry, come again?
What hurdles are really going to be coming in the way of the Crown Prosecution Service in framing these charges against Andrew?
So I don't think there's going to be any particular hurdles in front of the Crown Service because, whatever has been done, the fact that he's been arrested has been calibrated, so much so that the charges that they are framing is on the basis of the suspicion of his public role rather than the direct sexual offenses. I don't think that there are going to be massive amount of hurdles and issues for the Crown Services to prosecute him. So it's almost like imagine that he's been let off with a little bit of a tap on his wrist rather than being criminally indicted for the obscene amount of criminal offenses that he's been involved for, including what happened with Victoria Joff, for example. She was paid millions of dollars by the royal family,
Yes.
and the royal family was in privy of all of this information. So
Yeah.
my guess is that he's going to get away with all of this.
All right. But what kind of impunity, if any, does he still hold? Especially coming from the royal lineage. The king has gone on to say that he will be coordinating with the police. There are also statements coming in from the country to the effect that there's nobody above the law, because up until now no action was taken. He was of course stripped of his titles, but the offences were committed decades ago, and action is seen only now, and it's only the first step, the arrest. There are yet charges to be framed. So what really is next as far as investigation and prosecution goes?
Like I said, I think the formal charges are pretty much on the misuse of his public office rather than the sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
Sexual
But
misconduct
what
is
does that
something
really mean in the context of the United Kingdom and its monarchy? Walk us through what does it mean to be accused of misconduct in a public office?
So he was the representative of the international trade and investment, a role that he himself created as a royal, and he held that role from 2001 to 2011. This wasn't a office or a public role that has been designated by the government, but more from a monarchy perspective. We've got to put into perspective that Britain is still a constitutional monarchy, so the monarchy still yields a little bit of influence over the government of the day, where the monarchy holds certain relevance with regards to foreign relations and its yielding of soft power within the domain of the Commonwealth and the wider world. And that is what this particular role encompassed for Prince Andrew. Now, as a consequence of being able to have privy to documents of the government, he was able to share those vital information with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and that is predominantly what he's been accused of at this point. So again, I'm going to stipulate this again. This is a damage control operation which has been done by the government of the day and the establishment. The establishment is essentially protecting one of their own. It's only because the whole magnitude of all of the offenses is so big that we are actually we're actually giving away for the trees for the bushes. So that is what we are being deflected across for. Kriti.
Aditya, thanks very much for joining me in this discussion with your assessment. And viewers, with that, there's some breaking news input coming in. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown has revealed that he submitted a 5-page letter to several UK police forces, including the Metropolitan Police, Sussex Police and Thames Valley Police, offering new and additional details from the Epstein files. The move comes following the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Winster, who is suspected of misconduct in public office, with reports indicating that the investigation relates to his activities as a trade envoy. Brown's statement clarifies that this new information is in addition to what he sent last week, where he expressed concern over securing justice for trafficked girls and women. And now moving on, viewers, Londoners have reacted strongly following reports of the arrest of Andrew, with some saying they are pleased to see action taken. Several residents told local media the move sends a message that no one is above the law, regardless of status or background. Others said the development has reignited debate around accountability and transparency within Britain's institutions. Authorities have not released full details, but the case has once again put the royal family under intense public and media scrutiny. Let's listen in to some of the reactions coming in from London.
It's just, I suppose, a sign of the world we live in, where power has no responsibility, no ethics. And I mean, he comes from a background of corruption, being above the law.
What happens to him, I think he deserves fully. I mean, he did get stripped of his titles and whatnot. I think, honestly, nothing's going to happen to him, really, if you think about it. You know, he's fully protected by his family. I don't want to say too much into it, but hopefully he gets what he deserves, which is, you know, if it's life in jail, then it's life in jail. If it's exile, then it's exile.
And now moving on to news on the Board of Peace for Gaza. Ali Shahad, the former Palestinian Authority Deputy Minister, is currently in Washington to participate in the inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace. Shahad will be serving as the Chief Commissioner of the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. That's a 15-member technocratic body established to manage day-to-day civil administration and reconstruction in the enclave following the conflict with Israel. The inaugural Board of Peace Summit, chaired by Donald Trump, aims to coordinate over $5 billion in international reconstruction pledges and discuss the transition to long-term governance. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department has reportedly approved the NCAG as a formal communication channel between the Board of Peace and the Palestinian leadership. Those are the latest details coming in as far as the Board of Peace for Gaza's reconstruction is concerned. We're now picking up that the former Palestinian deputy minister is in Washington to partake the inaugural meeting of the board. Ali Shaath will be serving as the chief commissioner of the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. This is a technocratic body with 15 members, and it will be overseeing the day-to-day civil administration and reconstruction in the Gaza. The plan is to coordinate over $5 billion in international reconstruction pledges and discuss the transition to long-term governance. U.S. Secretary of State has reportedly approved the NCAG as a formal communication channel between the Board of Peace and the Palestinian leadership. Those are the fresh updates we are picking up in concern to the Board of Peace for Gaza. Ali Shaath is a Palestinian engineer. He's been tapped to administrate Gaza and its day-to-day affairs. Egypt, Qatar and Turkey have said that former Palestinian deputy minister would lead a new technocratic committee for Gaza. Gaza native and former Palestinian Authority Deputy Minister Ali Shaath will head this new technocratic committee to administer the devastated Gaza Strip. He will be mediating countries. As far as Ali Shaath is concerned, he is a seasoned civil servant, so far largely unknown to the wider public, and he was born in Khan Yunis in 1958. Shaath has floated the idea of pushing Gaza into the adjacent Mediterranean to reclaim some of the land. In fact, regarding his jurisdiction, Shaath said that under the terms of the US brokered agreement, his committee would gradually take over 50% of Gazan territory currently under Israeli control before expanding to cover the entirety of its areas. Matti Zweig is there with us. He's a geopolitical expert, joins us from Tel Aviv. Matti, thanks very much. It's the first inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace. It's a tall order for Ali Shaath, who is heading the Technocratic Committee for Gaza's reconstruction and day-to-day administration. What's going to be the first things in order for him? All right, viewers, we've lost that connection with Matti there, so we are now going to proceed. Now, Iran and Russia have conducted joint naval drills even as the United States builds up military assets near Iran. Iran said the exercises were aimed at promoting maritime security and sustainable cooperation, with the Russian naval corvette operating alongside Iranian forces in the Gulf of Oman. The drills come as Washington deploys warships in the region while also holding talks with Tehran on limiting its nuclear program. Moscow has warned of an unprecedented escalation of tensions around Iran, urging restraint from Tehran and other parties despite the strategic partnership between Russia and Iran that stops short of a mutual defense pact. And now moving on, viewers, to news on the Ukraine war. In the latest, Sweden has announced a major new military and aid package for Ukraine worth roughly $1.42 billion US. Defense Minister Pal Johnson has confirmed this. The aid comes in response to Ukraine's urgent requests for air defense systems and ammunition, aiming to strengthen its defense capabilities amid ongoing conflict. Johnson emphasized that Sweden is committed to supporting Ukraine as part of a broader international effort to bolster its security. The package is expected to provide significant support to Ukraine's armed forces, helping them counter continuing challenges on the battlefield. This move also underscores Sweden's growing role in European and global security efforts, signaling its willingness to take decisive action to support partners under threat. Sweden now becoming the latest country to announce aid for war-torn Ukraine, roughly 1.242 billion US dollars has been committed. New military aid package for Ukraine announced by Sweden, and this aid is of course in response to requests from Ukraine for air defense systems and ammunition as Russia continues its shelling of Ukrainian territories. And now moving ahead, viewers, at least 34 people were killed when suspected Lakurava Islamist militants launched coordinated attacks on rural villages in northwestern Nigeria's Kebbi state, according to a security report seen by Reuters. The Lakurava group, a new insurgent faction active in Kebbi and Sokoto state, carried out simultaneous raids on multiple villages, overwhelming local defenses and forcing residents to flee. Survivors described the attacks as highly organized and indiscriminate, with gunmen storming homes and opening fire. Security forces have deployed to the area to protect communities, assist survivors, and track the militants as operations continue to prevent further violence. Now on to some tech news. Global tech leaders and CEOs gathered in New Delhi for the India AI Impact Summit. Massive deals have come out of it. Reliance Industries and its telecom arm, Jio, says they will invest nearly $110 billion over 7 years to build AI and data infrastructure. Chairman Mukesh Ambani called it a long-term bet on India's digital future. Adani Group has pledged $100 billion by 2035 for renewable-powered AI data centers, a move it says could unlock a $250 billion AI ecosystem. Microsoft says it is on track to invest $50 billion across the global south by 2030, after committing $17.5 billion to India last year. Yota Data Services will spend over $2 billion to build one of Asia's largest AI computing hubs using NVIDIA's latest chips. TCS has signed OpenAI as the first customer for its new data center unit under the Stargate initiative, and Larsen & Toubro has partnered with NVIDIA to build what it calls India's largest AI factory. India is clearly positioning itself as a global AI powerhouse. Viewers, that's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.